Welcome back, 2023 edition, the Sporting Crashers podcast. I'm your host and founder, Eric Martinez. Welcome to another edition of the Have Fun, Feel Good Sports Entertainment podcast, one of a kind around. Really appreciate everybody that did support us in 2022. Have some major things for you in 2023. We will be recording one episode every single month this year. Look out for that. This is the January/February edition. So appreciate everybody being patient with us. Thank you. Much respect. This show I'm super excited about. I can tell you right now, I got two guests that are beyond excited to be on the show, and we actually reciprocate that information and that feeling. First, I got the director of legendary New York street ball park, the Rucker Park. We already know what it is. Everybody that follows hoops. He sits down, talks to the Sporting Crashers. Definitely excited to talk about real estate, commercial properties, community, entrepreneurship, of course, the hoops, a little bit of sports, everything that he does. And guess what? Miami Dolphins fan. Hey, who would have known? Shout out. Sports director of Rucker Park, Mr. Urban Sports and Entertainment himself, Nate Cooke. Sit down on the show. That's coming up a little bit later. We also have two-time Emmy winning producer and sports journalist, Deb Whitcas. If anybody knows anything that she's covered, not only from the great Northeast of Philadelphia Eagles, Philadelphia Phillies, she's on her way to doing major things. Sit down and listen to a little bit about her inspiration, her rise to the top, not only producing shows, winning those Emmys, but also the mentors and how she actually got in the industry and wanted to be a sports journalist. Sit down. I guarantee you'll enjoy this interview. Very excited, and I know she's going to be doing all kinds of events this coming year, including the Super Bowl, covering probably the Masters. I know for a fact she's going to be doing a lot of Philadelphia Phillies games. Stay tuned for that. Sporting Crashers podcast. Hey, we're here. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Sporting Crashers podcast. I'm your host, Eric Martinez. Nice to see everybody. Appreciate everybody following us, supporting us. The first episode of 2023, I have the pleasure of introducing our guest, two-time Emmy-winning supervising producer, and sports journalist, Deb Whitcas. I said that right?
You did. You got it.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Making sure. So it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Truly been following you for a few years now, and then seeing everything that you've been doing, not just in the sports world, but also, the accolades that you've had. So to some of our listeners that, might be getting familiarized with your background and what you've done, kind of explain everything that you've done in terms of not just the producing, but also how you got into sports journalism.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me. Always
My
a
pleasure.
pleasure to talk to you, and I'm excited to finally be able to come on your show. Uh, so yeah, honestly, I've always known that entertainment was something that I wanted to do. I was 5 years old when I told my mom to get me an agent. She didn't, thank God. But that I know who knows where I would be now. I'd probably be working some other job in some other industry. But she didn't, and she basically said, my daughter is going to be a kid, and when you're
hmm
18, you can do whatever you want.
Pretty
So that's
much, yeah.
basically what I did. And granted, she put me in dance classes, she put me in theater, she put me in the singing, I played sports as well. I was a really good softball player. My
Okay.
father actually played in the minors for the Phillies.
Oh,
I'm from Philadelphia originally, or from
okay.
South Jersey,
Yeah, I read
and
that. Right. Okay.
yeah, he was also a professional bowler. So I think he wanted a boy, but a boy who loves sports. He got a girl who loves
Sure.
sports.
There
So
you go.
which was fine. I grew up in a stadium, and my dad and both my parents were right there basically. And so yeah, I theater, singing, dancing, all that good stuff. And then in high school, I decided to become part of our TV program. Our high school had a thing called the West Report, and I was a reporter there, and
hmm
wrote some stuff for the newsletters, and just slowly decided to get into into TV and media. I also was a dancer on a show called Dance Party USA that also
Oh,
filmed in
cool.
Philadelphia. So that I was 12 when I did that. So, and then in college, I decided I wanted to go to school for broadcasting. I went to Elizabethtown College in Pennsylvania, and really got involved with the television station there. Produced my own show, did some reporting for a show called Campus Beat, which actually I was thinking about the other day. I actually remember I did a story on the Super Bowl on campus. I went around campus and asked everybody,
Oh,
who
that's
did you
awesome.
want to win? I forget who was even in at that point.
Right.
So, but I did I covered a lot of campus events and also
Mm-hmm.
some sports stuff as well. Then, but my main focus then was more entertainment, more so Entertainment Tonight, Access Hollywood. I produced an entertainment show, so that was my goal, was to get into Hollywood and do entertainment, MTV networks. And that's
Sure.
pretty much what I did. I've worked for both of those at this point. And so I was really lucky my senior year of college. I went on spring break and got to meet Jerry Springer. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
MTV was down. Yeah, MTV was down there. They were doing spring break. The spring break things they don't even do anymore. I don't think. But
Sure. Yeah, I don't think
and
so,
then
but yeah.
yeah, it was spring break. Spring broke for Springer broke. What would you do for $20? I was on the show. Got to meet Jerry and basically asked him about any internships that were happening at the show. He gave me a number of a woman who ran the internship program. I reached out to her, and she said, "Look, if you have enough guts to go up to Jerry Springer on spring break and ask for a job, you have enough guts to work here." And that's how
That's exactly right.
my career got started. Jerry Springer
That's
gave me
awesome.
my first break.
That's
Who would have
awesome.
known? So
Yeah.
yeah, so then I basically worked at Jerry Springer for years, and then moved to LA. And all in all, I've worked in about 20 different TV shows, ranging ABC, NBC, CNBC, MTV, Entertainment, uh, HGTV. The list kind of goes on. NBC,
Mm-hmm.
Universal. So a couple years ago, and I've always been a big sports girl. I mean, like I said, I grew up in a stadium. I used to sit right in front of the Phillies' wives. I was friends with them. I used to flirt with the bat boy. I played softball. I played tennis. I was a cheerleader. I always loved cheering for football. That was my favorite thing. So I've always kind of been a fan. I've followed the Eagles since I was born. I
Of
bleed
course.
green.
Right.
So I've always followed sports, the Phillies. My family, I was very lucky that my family has season tickets to pretty much everything. So I've all, kind of my love of sports was kind of an escape from all the pressures of Hollywood, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I just kind of had an aha moment, and I was like, wait, I'm in unscripted television. Why am I not doing sports media? Like,
Sure.
I know all of the leagues. I know, all of the players. I'm at the games. I know what's going on. I know the X's and O's. I can, I'm friends with people in the leagues. Why don't I do this?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, it can't hurt. So yeah, I started to focus my career more on sports media. Football is my first love. Actually,
Sure.
baseball is my first love. Football is my love now. I specialize in both. But yeah, and then here we are.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like just taking advantage of opportunities, asking the right questions, and sometimes it's just showing up, being there.
Hmm.
That's what happens when I always ask somebody like, how do they get involved and how did they do this? It's like they dreamed it, they wanted
Hmm.
it, and then they got an opportunity and took advantage of it. So that's great.
Yeah.
In terms of broadcasting and producing, when you were younger, did you have anybody that you saw like on TV that you were like, whether, because sometimes you'll ask an athlete, especially nowadays, you'll ask a quarterback, who did you watch when you were younger, especially when Kobe Bryant passed away. Every NBA player was like, I grew up watching Kobe. Who were some of the people that maybe were on TV or behind the scenes that really helped you, really say, you know what, I want to do that, or at least have that path to what you're doing now?
Right. I mean, I think Barbara Walters comes to mind
Hmm.
first and foremost.
Sure.
I mean, she's just, may she rest in peace. Uh,
Rest in
generally
peace.
just the best female broadcaster. She was a pioneer of women in broadcasting, I think. Also Oprah. I grew up
Hmm.
with Oprah as well.
Big time.
Um, and honestly, a lot of the local Philadelphia news anchors and reporters, and I was like, I want to do that.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, those are kind of the people that there was a show called Evening Magazine in Philadelphia that I watched. And Ray Murray, I actually wound up working for his company years later. And I actually told him that. I was like, you were one of the reasons why I wanted to get into TV. And he was like, oh, that's so
Wow.
nice. So that was cool. Where I didn't realize he owned the production company when I went to go work for them. And I was like, wait, that's Ray Murray from Evening Magazine. And he
Right.
owned it. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Always from like a local standpoint, then you take it national, and then you look back and reflect and say, wow, that I was able to achieve, or you're still living out what you set your mind to do. In terms of, because I always use the word events, right? And everybody always thinks like a game or a concert or something like that. But I always say, what is one of event in your life that has been one of the best moments in either journalism or the producing side of things?
Right. I think there's two, and they're kind of on the same level. Uh, Definitely the Emmy win, my first Emmy win.
Hmm.
That was for Lucky Dog on CBS. Brandon McMillan was the
Oh
host.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's a great show. I worked
Awesome.
on season two. I was
Okay.
the senior producer of it. So just you know, just being at the table. We were nominated. We weren't expecting a nomination, and then we're at the Emmys, and the category comes up, and we were actually against Oprah, and we beat
Wow.
Oprah. So I forget what the
Wow.
actual show was. It was one of her food shows, I think. And yeah, it was crazy when they said, and the winner is, and the Emmy goes to, and they said Lucky Dog, and literally it was just pure hysteria at the table.
Wow.
So it
I,
was
ca- I
really
can't even imagine. I can't
it
even
was
imagine.
really fun. And so we're all just shocking and hugging and like running up to the stage. And then to be on that stage is really neat because you're so used to seeing it from the other side. I think I had been nominated probably 3 or 4 times at that when I finally won. So it
Hmm.
was so cool to be on the other side of it and just see everybody
Wow.
kind of looking at you, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if this is ever going to happen again, so I have to like keep it, like remember this moment.
Exactly.
For
Take it
sure.
all in. They say take
Take
it
it
all
all
in.
in. You're like, oh, I was just like,
Right.
oh my goodness, like, and I didn't have to talk. It was my, executive producer and owner of the company that talked, but I was definitely there and definitely on TV, and it was crazy. So that's one, and then I
Hmm.
think in this, and then I won a second Emmy as well a couple of years later for Lauren
Hmm.
Lake's Paternity Court, and again an amazing moment. We weren't expecting it. Judge Judy had actually gotten the Lifetime Achievement Award. So we're like, there's no way
Oh, okay.
we're not gonna get this. We're not gonna get the Emmy. She is,
Sure.
and that didn't happen. They said Lauren Lake Paternity's Court, and we were like, what? So very similar. We all ran out, pure hysteria, and that was for the legal courtroom drama category. So yeah. So then in the sports world, though, I think uh, interviewing Pete Rose is
Wow.
definitely on the top of
Oh
my
yeah.
life made list. I was with a show called Crush House. Wayne Allen Root, Sean Salisbury, Rick Mahorn from the 76ers, and Frank Nicotero, Angelica Bridges as well. And we all kind of came together and interviewed Pete. We talked to him for about 3 hours, and
Yeah, I was gonna say.
oh my goodness, what an amazing storyteller. And we just all just let him sit there and talk because his story is about Babe Ruth and meeting Babe
Hmm.
Ruth's son or daughter, and just, I mean, the records he still holds are amazing. And he played into his 40s. It happened to be his 80th birthday that day that we were interviewing him,
Oh,
so we
that's
got him a
awesome.
cake.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it was really fun, and I have to say, the most fun I had, that morning I was prepping my questions and doing more research because I like to really be prepped when I have interviews. And
Absolutely.
it's Pete Rose. So I logged on early. I logged on about 10 minutes early, and none of my other co-hosts were on, and Pete was on. So it was him and I. We just BS'd for 10 minutes before anyone else was on the podcast ready to tape. And thank God I had watched the Phillies game the night before because it's pretty
Right.
much what we talked about. But it was so nice. I'm like, oh my God, someone pinched me. I'm sitting here literally like BSing with Pete Rose. Like,
Right.
who can say that?
Not too many. I'll tell you what, as soon as you said Pete Rose right now, I have a lot of listeners and I have a lot of friends that tune into this podcast, and they're baseball fans. They're fans of all sports. I think every single sports fan, their ears kind of went up as soon as you said Pete Rose, and mostly because just the incredible fascination that people have with what he did professionally,
Mm-hmm.
baseball, but also the stories. I mean, just even just thinking about everything that I saw. I mean, he was even in WWF for a few episodes. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like so many things that I'm just sitting here like, wow, that's cool. That's a
Mm-hmm.
really, really great thing.
And just to hear
Yeah.
him, even his take on today's some of the athletes today,
Oh,
the
sure. Yeah, I was
salaries
gonna
that they're
say.
making, and of course, I actually was the one who asked him, does he ever think he'll be in the Hall of Fame? Which was an honor that I got to ask that tough
I didn't
question.
want to ask that. I was staying away from that, but yeah.
I'm good at the tough ones,
Sure, sure.
So yeah, and I mean, and his answer, kind of blew me away, and was, to be honest, really sad. I mean, he basically said, he was like, they'll induct me when I'm dead. Basically, is what his answer was, and I don't not believe that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would think the Emmy and Pete Rose.
Awesome. Those are great things. That's great.
Thanks.
So let me ask you this: uh, you've accomplished a lot. You've covered a lot of events, sports wise and other. What is your bucket list? That event, and it doesn't have to be sports, but something that you have not done yet, but is top of your list. Gotta have that happen sooner or later.
I have two for this too.
Okay,
I'm not good with the one thing.
that's fine.
I'm always reaching for the stars. Um, my ultimate would be covering Super Bowl on the sidelines with an Eagles win.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So there's a lot of things that have to happen there
Right.
for for that one to happen, but I will never give up. The second one is covering the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
That I've since I was a child, I've wanted to do that, and it looks like I'm going to have the opportunity in Paris,
Ooh,
with
that should be fun.
with a news outlet called the Skyboat that I work with. It's a nonprofit news organization, and I've been talking with them, and it looks like I'm going to be able to do some work with them.
Oh, that's
And
that's
if
gonna be
anybody
great.
else out there has any opportunities, I'm golden.
Yeah, absolutely. She's available and ready, and she has a list. Those are just the ones
Right?
on the top. So
And I actually
awesome.
just applied as well to the LA, was it 2028, the Olympics are in LA, so
Oh
they
yes.
just started
Mm-hmm.
to hire. So I just saw a listing, and I posted, I sent my resume into that as well because I do freelance
That.
sports, so
Mm-hmm.
gotta always
Okay.
keep it going.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. That's perfect. Yeah. I mean, I was expecting something international, so of course, covering something like the Olympics is just
Yeah, I mean,
unbelievable.
just the passion, and that's why I love sports in general because these athletes are so passionate and so good, and I come from a reality base, and I feel like reality shows now are just kind of like mind numbing at times,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the subject. Where I think sports is the best reality show out there, and
Mm-hmm.
it's real. That's what I think I love about it, and
Right. You can't
there's
fake
so
that drama. That's
you
right.
can't fake it, right? And
Exactly.
and it, and everything changes every second, every minute, every, different, another play, and that's a whole new storyline, you know? It's like,
Exactly.
yeah. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thank you so much for that transition because let's talk a little football.
sure.
Um, NFL playoffs going on right now. We've seen certain teams, achieve to the highest of their ability. Certain teams had, pretty decent season. And when it comes to those clutch moments, can they get over the hump? Can they, get as far as they can? Just and again, you can break down teams, players. What is your critique of certain teams right now that you've seen that they passed that eye test, or what they've been playing, how they've been playing lately, that
Sure.
can not only get to the Super Bowl but that can hoist that trophy?
Absolutely. Great question. I think I've been really, really impressed, obviously, with the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
They're, went
Sure.
undefeated for majority of the season until the Washington football team. And then, which I happened to be at that game, but
Oh, okay.
obviously,
Oh, yeah. I saw
yeah,
this. I saw the pictures.
right. But obviously, Jalen Hurts in MVP talks, amazing job. Sirianni, second year coach, amazing
Hmm.
job.
Absolutely. Great
You
job.
know, definitely Howie Roseman. But a lot of people put him down. He finally proved his worth, because this team is outstanding, and play so well together, both on offense and defense. I mean, we're a force to be reckoned with, and we'll see how far the Eagles take it. Another team, honestly, the Giants. I'm
Mm.
impressed. They kind of got hot at the right time. Daniel Jones threw a near perfect game the other day.
Yes. Hmm.
Saquon Barkley looking amazing. The defense is stepping up. Do I think they're good as the Eagles? No. We'll
Hmm.
see. But another team, Justin Jefferson, the Vikings has done really well.
Absolutely
San,
love Justin Jefferson.
yeah, I mean,
Shout
who
out JJ.
doesn't?
Hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah,
San
absolutely.
Francisco. I mean, Brock Purdy. Who would have thought third string quarterback when Trey Lance,
Sure.
when everybody was like, "All right, 49ers are done." Not quite.
Hmm.
They got hot at the right time. I think that Christian McCaffrey trade, clutch. Um,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's great to see Christian back on the field. I mean, I think he's one of the best, if not the best, running back in the league. I've been a fan of him since the Panthers
Mm-hmm.
and watched his career. I've been bummed that he's gotten hurt and hasn't seen the field. So to see him back and well and doing so great and clicking so well in San Francisco, super happy for him. Buffalo Bills. I mean, Josh Allen, amazing. The whole team. I mean, we'll see. It's Kansas City. I mean, I can keep
Mm-hmm.
going.
Exactly. And I think that's the conversation that a lot of people are having right now, sports outlets, media outlets, and then just sitting around in the living room with your friends and family members. You can go on and on. And of course, your fan base. I'm from the Bay Area, so I grew up as an Oakland Raiders fan. Now they're
Okay,
in Las Vegas. But the
right.
majority of my family are San Francisco 49ers, extended
Okay.
cousins. So, a lot of what I remember was the early 2012s, the 2013s, when
Yep.
Kaepernick and they had that stout defense. Navarro Bowman, and you're talking about, I mean, Patrick Willis. So you always know what you're gonna get from this type
Hmm.
of an organization. And now the storyline with Brock Purdy, it really does make a lot of sense. But I've been saying all year, I'm not gonna tell you anybody my Super Bowl picks, but I've been impressed by the Eagles. I've been impressed by them a lot, and I have a few buddies that I live in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and I was telling them before the year. I said, look, Cowboys might be good. Eagles going to be a little bit better,
Yeah.
and
And Cowboys are
they
looking
didn't
good
necessarily.
too. Like
They are.
they look this last. last couple games. I mean, Prescott was on. They demolished the Buccaneers. I mean, it's hard.
Sure.
It's hard to beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. I didn't think they could
Very
do
hard.
it, and then they beat him by a lot too.
Exactly.
Tom Brady had a horrible game, and the offense had a horrible game as well. It was just a horrible game for them, for the Bucs. But yeah, it's interesting to see where Tom Brady's going to go as well. I know you said originally a Raiders fan. I'm
Yes.
thinking he might go to the Raiders.
Well, I mean, that's a thought and a conversation that I'll get back to a little bit later. I think I'll say this, especially because you're heavily involved in football and NFL affiliates. I I I was a little bothered by the way of the treatment of Derek Carr, and
I agree.
mostly because of the loyalty that he showed for the fan base.
I agree.
He did a lot for the community in Oakland. I think that he was a perfect role model in terms of the way he handled a lot of the adversity, especially with the Henry Ruggs situation, with
Hmm.
the John Gruden situation. So, I just felt that I would have much rather, if we didn't qualify for the playoffs, what we did, standing ovation, walking off and saying, thank you. If you're not going to be here another year or another play, you've earned my respect. I always wanted him to succeed, and I think that where he took us in, under when he was the starting quarterback, it was a up and down situation, and I'll be honest. But at the same time, I do hope that if Brady's the direction that we're going in, I'd like to see how that's going to work out, and what will be built around, and then what's the situation with Devontae.
Right.
So
That's true.
uh, it's a lot. It's a lot, but yeah, that's awesome. That's great. You have, and you don't have to tell me, but you have somebody back in your mind that you're just like, I have a feeling they're going to win it all. I mean,
So
sometimes you get that gut feeling.
I mean, I've said Bills since the beginning of the season,
Hmm.
um, and I especially would love for them to see them win just because of Damar Hamlin and the
Sure.
situation with him. So I think this is their year. They haven't been looking so hot at some of the games, so um, lately at least. I mean, but
Sure.
they're a great football team. So yeah, I mean, I picked Bill. I don't care about revealing who I picked,
Right.
but
No, no, absolutely. I mean,
I have Bills to win it. I have San Fran Bills and Bills to win it, which is
okay.
kind of breaks my heart because I'm such an Eagles fan and I definitely want to see the Eagles there. Don't get me wrong, but I just have this feeling. So
Okay.
kind of hope
Yeah.
I'm wrong
So,
though.
hey, listen, I would actually enjoy that. That would be a good Super Bowl to watch. That would be a good
But I
one.
think if it was Eagles Bills, the Super Bowl will be rocking because they're
Yes.
in my opinion, the top two fan bases,
Sure.
like who can really just bring it on. And I mean that stadium's just going to be like
Oh
half
yeah.
blue, half green, and just it's going to be an insane energy, in that stadium and in Arizona. Just
Yeah. Well, we'll look
Eagles
forward to it.
fans
Will.
travel. Yeah, Eagles fans travel.
That was
Bills
about to say. I was about
like
to say that
fans
fan base,
travel.
Glendale, Arizona, the whole suburbs over there in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix, all of those restaurants and bars, they will be
Mhm.
screaming at each other, having a great
Yep.
time, ready for kickoff. So yeah, absolutely,
I can't
absolutely,
wait. It's gonna be like
yeah,
Christmas.
sounds great. Okay, so I think I mentioned to you before, some of our listeners, actually a lot of our listeners are women that love sports,
Hmm.
and a lot of what I like to do is when I bring somebody on the show that's affiliated with sports journalism and stuff like that. I like to get an idea of their background and what they did in terms of getting themselves in that particular career. But I always like to pave the way for those that inspired, that have been whether involved in sports as an athlete or as a broadcaster, a sports journalist. So we're going to do this word association. I have some powerful women in sports history.
Okay.
um, And you can elaborate. I mean, you could just say a word, and again, we're just going to go through that. And again, like I said, let me know. And it could be you have a thought, you have a word. If all you have is a word, hey, it's good to go.
Okay.
The first one is I remember watching those great Tennessee Volunteer women basketball. And I absolutely love Pat Summitt. So, what would you say as far as Pat Summitt?
Trailblazer. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna stay closer to a little bit of the one and only, and I can definitely say that the one and only, one of my favorites, Robin
Hmm.
Roberts.
Oh, passionate.
Hmm. Very.
Why is she one of your favorites?
Just everything that she's done from, the way that she articulated her battle with cancer,
Hmm.
the way that she spoke about Stuart Scott. Stuart Scott was my favorite, hands down, my favorite ESPN anchor of all
Hmm.
time. I got a chance to meet him in 2011, and just really humble, down to earth, and a lot of what she did. It really showed me that she was able to really be somebody that can take a platform like sports
Hmm.
and create something more global, right? So that's why
Hmm.
you see so much of the way that she built off the brand and things like that. So that was she was definitely one of my favorites growing up. And I
I like that.
remember yeah, and I remember saying, "Oh, she was on ESPN," but then she's also on about like four different other news networks and
Right.
channels. So I'm like, she's
Exactly.
doing something right.
I mean, I mean, that's why I say passionate because she's, done
Yes.
so much, and I think, who else I think Amory Anderson has been in,
Yeah.
sports broadcasting for a huge, I adore her.
Yes.
She's great. And also, I mean, Pam Oliver has
Pam
specifically paved
Oliver.
the way for
Yes.
women in football too. So,
Yes. Absolutely.
but no, Robin
I'll
Roberts
give
is
you
a
another.
great one. I mean, she's
Yes.
go ahead.
Exactly. No, I'll give you another one. One of my favorites, mostly because I remember the ESPN hockey nights and the coverage that she did, and she's a huge New York Ranger fan. Linda Cohn.
Uh-huh. I like what I want to say. I want to say passionate for everybody. Linda
Sure.
Cohn.
Sure.
I mean, can I say legit? Is that just
You
like
you
comes from?
absolutely can say legit
Yeah,
about Linda
she's
Cohn.
just a legit
Absolutely,
sports girl, or sports woman, I should
absolutely love it.
say.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
and
yes.
just did such a great job.
Yeah, and you know what I respected about her was that she was so when she was always on Sports Center, she
Hmm.
was so passionate about hockey, but she was great at those NBA highlights, baseball
Hmm.
highlights. I'm like, oh, she's passionate about sports. She was,
Yeah.
so that's definitely
And
one
she
of my
knew them
favorites
all
as well.
too. That's hard to
Right,
do. Like Amory Anderson too.
exactly.
You can put
Yes,
her in any situation, and she knows every like she can do it. Volleyball, gymnastics, football, baseball. Like she knows it all. And that's
yes,
hard to do. Like I don't think
yes.
people realize how tough that is. So.
That's absolutely right.
Hmm.
This next one, I think when you reach the summit of a championship in the WNBA as a head coach,
Hmm.
you've been a player in the WNBA, but you
Hmm.
also have had and owned the respect from a great like Coach Popovich, Becky Hammon. What would you say in terms of word association with her?
I just thought All Star.
Hmm.
I think you can kind of interchange all of these with these
Sure,
women.
no, absolutely,
But
and I think
yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah,
yeah. I
that's
mean,
that's
just.
actually that's actually a great. That's the personality, the knowledge,
Hmm.
the likability. All
Hmm.
star.
I
It's
mean, you
great.
just heard, and I mean, obviously everybody's popular, but like, yeah, no, I just that round all star.
Hmm.
You just said it. Like I think she has everything.
Sure. Sure. Now here's, I think, a lot of our favorites. No introduction needed. Serena Williams.
I mean,
Hmm.
goddess.
Perfect. Actually, yeah.
I
Wow.
mean, she's the goddess of
Yeah.
tennis.
Yes. Yes.
I thought God, to be honest, but then goddess is more appropriate.
Goddess. Hmm.
So yeah, I mean she is the woman's face of tennis. I feel like.
I think that it's so funny that you say that. I remember this past United States Open, U.S. Open in New
Mhm.
York. I think that there was just as much energy of all of us watching from home as
Mhm.
there was in that tennis arena. I mean,
Yeah.
I was watching I was watching the TV while I was following along on my SportsCenter app. I'm like what's going on? I'm just and that hardly happens, especially in tennis. I mean,
Right.
I love tennis to a certain extent, but sometimes if there's another player playing, it's like okay, I'll watch the highlights. But it was just an incredible feeling watching just everything that she has and
Hmm.
she does for the sport, and
Absolutely.
it's just blood, sweat, and tears.
Right, and that absolutely. And I think even I mean goddess queen I think is another good
Hmm.
one for her. As well as all these other women. Um, yeah, no, I mean, I grew up playing tennis, and yeah, I mean, she's queen, she's goddess, she's got it.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, what would you say for Billie Jean King?
I mean,
Billie
that's
Jean
true
King.
too. I mean,
Hmm.
she's queen as well. I think
Yeah.
both of them, to be honest, that they paved the way. Little girls wanted to be them, wanted to play like them, and
Sure.
now they have all this new crew coming, new generation of tennis coming up now. But yeah, no, Billie Jean King definitely another. I think you can say goddess and you can say queen of tennis for both of them.
Yeah.
For both of them.
No, absolutely. Now, how about a crossover of the way that she came through the circuits and then eventually became one of the most popular NASCAR drivers, Danica Patrick?
The first thing I thought fast because of NASCAR,
Hmm.
but Danica Patrick was like the woman of NASCAR for years.
Sure.
Now, and I had the pleasure of meeting her, but Natalie Decker is now up,
Yes.
definitely in NASCAR. I've
Yes.
interviewed her. She's one of the nicest women I've ever met. And she's really good as well. But no, I was sad to see Danica Patrick retire because, I loved
Yeah.
seeing her and hearing about her in the race car world, with all the boys, and she was the only female. So I think again, a lot of people, a lot of young women, a lot of girls looked up to her. Natalie Decker now is there because of her. So
Perfect. Yeah, I agree 100%. Um, the next one, another one, doesn't need any introduction. Nancy Lieberman.
hmm think of like I said, everything is interchangeable.
Sure, sure. I mean, hey, listen, if you have to use the word again, it's understandable because that's why I wanted to compose a list because this
Right.
this is. I mean, and there's so many more, but I just feel
Right.
like I wanted to kind of share light with you that these are that when I think of
Right.
legendary women,
But how
definitely
would you describe her?
integrity.
Okay.
Um, the the amount of just I've never seen or heard anything that when somebody describes her as anything that is doubt. There's like removing all doubt. It's
Right.
more of the knowledge that she had and just trailblazer again, like you
Right.
said, and just so many of those words. But
Right.
yeah, I think that's definitely something that
Wasn't her nickname Lady Magic?
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
so yeah, maybe Magic.
magic, yeah,
Just thought of that. So
yeah. Yeah, so your thoughts and one of my favorite play-by-play analysts. I love watching Candace Parker. The other one that I really enjoy when she does an NBA play-by-play game is Doris Burke? What would you associate with her?
You know what? Energy. I think
That's true.
she has a great energy to her, her play by play. It's tough
It is.
to do. You have to be so locked up. I've taken a few play by play classes, and I'm like, ooh, I might be a sideline reporter.
Sure. Right. The color
I
commentator, the play by
try.
play. Right.
I do enjoy it. I do some voice play by play for sports radar and sports data,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not as intense as some of the women do.
Sure.
It's a little bit more like sports data journalist that I can handle. But yeah, play by play is tough, and I think she does a really good job. And her energy is always up, and she's always got some great commentary in there as well.
I agree, 100%. I would associate a word, and it's just as simple as explanation. The
Okay,
way that
that makes
she
sense.
is
Like
able
her
to, yeah, the
commentary.
way that she's
Yeah.
able to explain the game.
Hmm.
And you know what I notice about her? She knows how to explain a player in the NBA's ability,
Hmm.
whether that's not his shot. He shouldn't be doing that. Look at how many times he drove to the left. Like she breaks down the game within the game, and
Hmm.
that's what I enjoy of it because when I start listening and that type of explanation, it's again the same exact thing that you just said. It's the energy
Hmm.
of taking the time to explain it, and then I'm like, okay, I'm learning. I'm learning as I go. So, and last but not least, Michelle Tafoya.
Who is my absolute favorite? Uh, Bummed that she retired. Didn't know who would replace her. But to be honest, I don't think she's replaceable in general. Uh, so a
Absolutely
word.
correct. Right.
What?
Well, I mean, you said irreplaceable. I think that's
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
that's
There we
that's
go.
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There. I didn't even do that on purpose. But yeah,
I
irreplaceable.
look. That's the thought. That's the
Yeah.
mindset. Yeah,
I think she
absolutely.
was the strongest sideline reporter NFL had. So I mean, and all of them are great. It's not an easy. It is not an easy thing to do by any means. Erin Andrews does a great job. Who else? Jenny Taft, Melissa Stark. I could keep going. Pam Oliver, obviously. Um, but yeah, Laura Rutledge. But
Hmm.
yeah, no. I mean,
Yes.
I think Michelle Tafoya, and she did it for so long, and I always
Yes.
really enjoyed all of her reports, all of her interviews, and she was just super professional and knew the sport really well too.
Absolutely. Perfect. Okay. Well, before you go, I have one more question.
Okay,
Phillies World Series last year wasn't the result that you wanted.
was it?
I don't want to sit here and set an expectation for 2023, but um, what do you like in terms of what you guys have done with your ball club, and how's it looking in that NL East? Because
I
that's
mean,
the first challenge.
we'll see. I mean, after the World Series was up, I was kind of like engulfed in NFL at that
Sure, yeah,
point.
I was about to say it's
So
it's that
really,
it's that time where it's World Series, but you got to wake
yeah,
up the next day, got to cover the next NFL game.
right. And spring training is about to start. I think spring training starts March 20th. So
It's coming. Yeah.
we're getting there. And I'm actually going to be covering some minor league MLB this season, so I'm
Oh,
excited. So
that's
I
awesome.
got to get studying a little bit. But no, I mean, I think the fact that the Phillies got into the World Series is amazing. No one saw it
Hmm.
coming. Um,
Absolutely not. I didn't.
and I think it came because we have a talented ball club, and hopefully, it'll be even more talented this year, and
Sure.
we'll see what happens. I think the guys are super passionate. I mean, remember, Bryce Harper screaming like, "This is my home" or "This is my
Oh
house," or
yes.
when he
Yes.
had that double, and that was an amazing moment. And yeah, I mean, like I said, no one saw it coming, and we were all happy that we got there. We just couldn't close the deal, but there's always next season. So
Well, that's right. And so the funny thing is the reason I say the NL East is the challenge because I mean, look at the back-to-back years from the National League.
right.
You got teams that are right there on the cusp. So good luck to
Thank
your
you.
Phillies this year, all of your Philadelphia teams, um, especially the Eagles. Hopefully you fly, Eagles fly. And, we
Let's
appreciate you
fly.
being on the show. We hope that you had a
Thank
great
you.
time.
Yes.
And,
Thanks
to
for
our
having me.
listeners that want to reach out to you, website, any type of social media, please feel free. Go ahead and shout out your plug.
Absolutely. So you guys can see me at Sport Report Deb. That's for IG, Twitter, and just started on TikTok. So we'll go from there. And as far as Facebook, Deborah J. Whitcas, and that's about it. I'm going to be bringing back my old podcast. It's going to be streaming on the Honest Network as well as on my socials. And I have a lot coming up, guys. I'll be at Pro Bowl. I'll be at Super Bowl. I've got tons of interviews with current players, former players, coaches. It's gonna be a great couple of months, and I'm excited to share everything with you all. So, and if you guys have any questions,
Perfect.
please reach out to me too. I'm always
Yes.
online, and I love talking with fans and talking sports. So let's do it.
Yeah, and be on the lookout. We didn't even discuss this yet, but we are actually launching the Sporting Crashers website here in the next few weeks. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna have the Deb Whipkis, and we're gonna make sure that anything that is associated with her, we'll have a link to go ahead and follow her. And but as far as everything else is concerned, we appreciate it. Have a great 2023. We'll be looking forward to speaking to you soon. All right.
So thanks for having me. Have fun, guys.
Absolutely. Take care. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Sporting Crashers podcast. That sports entertainment, feel good, have fun podcast. Hey, man, appreciate having you on the show. My man Nate representing. Really appreciate it, man. Everybody might know him as Mr. Urban Sports and Entertainment. Some of our listeners, they've been kind of seeing that, we've been posting, so we've been trying to get you for a few weeks now. So, yeah, let our listeners know a little bit about your background. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, multiple business endeavors, especially with sports, entertainment. So, yeah, just go ahead and let everybody know your background.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my background, I started working in sports, I would say around maybe like 10, 12 years ago. Once I got out of college, through this like, hustle and some nepotism, I landed an opportunity at the National Basketball Association. My first position there, I worked in a marketing broadcast department. So basically, my day-to-day responsibilities was looking at the broadcast, watching for signage, advertising, and basically being like, I would say like a police of the broadcast, make sure everything ran afloat from a
Right.
marketing standpoint. And that's kind of, I would say, with my introduction to brands, brand activation, marketing, what advertising looks like from a sports perspective, and how to fuse both of those industries, sports advertising, as well as marketing. After that, I transitioned and I started doing a lot of consulting work because I always just had like the entrepreneurship spirit, and I wanted kind of to do my own thing and lay my own
Mm-hmm.
path. So I started doing that. I started working with very different organizations. Worked with the National Basketball Hall of Fame. I worked with Teresa Weatherspoon, with my boy Irvin Burrell. We
Mm-hmm.
did that before. Obviously now I work with Rucker Park. I've done some other pretty cool work with a lot of different other brands before as well. Worked with Lids before, did some good marketing stuff with them. Now we're still doing it with Rucker Park. So the list goes on and on. I work with a lot of various different people, opportunities. We do some work right now with Roberto Ramirez, one of the top Mexican boxers. That we do some marketing, branding work with my guys. A lot of people on my team, I worked with the likes of Baron Davis before. They've done stuff with BMW. So I always say two things I say in sports, Eric, is that your network is obviously your network, and
Right.
your network is your net worth, but also your relationships are your currency. So that's kind of like
Absolutely.
your currency in this business. Who you know, who you're connected with, who you can connect the dots with a lot of times. And also, I would just give a little nugget too. It's not always about the money. Sometimes it's about doing the little things, and then the money comes after that because people remember you. You can connect the dots. You're able to deliver. But I think a lot of times, a lot of people, but when they get in this business, they want to just go for the big money, for the big projects, but you haven't really earned it. You haven't really showed what you can do. So it's always
Exactly.
it's a show me what you can do industry. So I always tell people that too. So I kind of started from the ground up, low level, and just kept working my way up, and still working my way up now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Really respect that. Something I always get asked about from, the youth, a lot of my nephews and cousins, they're always like, well, an interest in sports. I have if I'm not going to be an athlete, something that I can actually tap into to become a professional in something aspect of sports. And I'm always like, the number one thing I tell you, you got to have is that patience. Because if you don't understand delayed gratification, I'm telling you right now, it takes time, but it takes that energy and effort. That's the most important thing. That's why exactly what you just said, you have to do the little things. You have to build up your hustle, and you have to make sure that you take advantage of every opportunity. Your relationships, entrepreneurships, partnerships, that is important. When you plant the seed, you better tend to that seed, because when you're ready to harvest, that's when all of the stars got in line. So I really respect that.
Yeah, and it's also too like you have to have the work ethic of the athlete or an athlete
Hmm.
as well, just on the business side or the marketing side. When they're in the gym and they're working hard, you got to be out at network events. You got to be connecting with people. You have to be reaching out to people. You have to be of service to people because that's so much important because a lot of times people hit you up on the phone, Eric, and just be like, "What can you do
Yeah,
for me? What can you do
right.
this? I need this. I need that." Instead of being of service. So that's one thing I've always learned. We learned that the NBA, the late great David Stern, rest in peace, was big on that. The service is always of being of service to someone. What can you do? And that's kind of how he worked up to become the commissioner in the NBA. So I kind of always adopted that work ethic, and still to this day, is when I reach out to new people, it's how we can collaborate. How can I be of service?
Hmm.
How can we work together? Not just what can you do for me? Can you make a call for me, or you connect with this person? Because
Right.
then people get fatigued, and then your phone calls stop getting answered.
Exactly. Hey, absolutely. Completely understand and respect that. That's true. I mean, it's always about having the knowledge of, if I serve, I can lead. So if you know how to lead, it's because of the fact that you put in the effort of people that you set the example for. So I hear a lot about communities. I'm from the Bay Area, from San Francisco, California.
Oh, nice.
So a lot of what we see is to help communities with everything, with um, uh, accessories and supplies, demands. There's so much going on, and I know a lot of the Northeast, New York, Philadelphia, a lot of what's going on up there has to do with involvement, not just from the professional athletes, but a lot of organizations. So tap into a little bit of those organizations that you stay with. And I know you had mentioned, legendary Rucker Park, and I know you have a lot of different events coming up with that. So, definitely interested in hearing a lot about that.
Yeah, well, community is everything. Community is important. Obviously, being from the Bay, I would say you probably
Hmm.
49ers, like Giants fan, things like that out there. Um,
Yeah, yeah, a lot of them. I went to my first Raider game. That was my first football game. So Raiders,
oh,
San
you're a Raiders
Francisco
fan. Okay,
Giants.
got you,
Yeah, Raiders. Most of the
got
family, San Francisco 49ers, but yeah, yeah, yeah. We
you.
all, we were just divided by that water and that bridge.
How you feel about them going to Vegas?
So the majority of it was, obviously, my heart was ripped out of my chest, mostly because of the fact that the city of Oakland tried to keep them there, but there was no way, there was no land for us to keep the stadium. I mean, there was all kinds of rumors that, we were going to do this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, when they looked at it and said, your plans look great, but who's going to fund it? Who's going to put up the money to, to actually
The
build it?
taxpayers, yeah.
So going to Vegas was the best thing for the franchise in itself, for the future of it. It just is an unfortunate situation because of the fact that there's a lot of people in Oakland that, they just were like, I mean, I'm going to follow the team because that's our team, but we don't have that. We don't have that black hole, that Raider Nation in the Coliseum. As much as it's falling apart, I get that, but it just is not the same in Las Vegas, and I can tell. I haven't been to the new arena and the stadium, but from what I hear, it's more of a party entertainment. I mean, I'm seeing bottle service on the field goal sidelines. I'm like, hey, but it's Las Vegas, though. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, it's one of those things that I thought we were going to Las Vegas to see a better brand of football. I'm still waiting for that, because at this point, last year we got a little taste of a wild card game. Now we're sitting here, number 7 pick in the NFL draft. So, I've been a fan since I was little. So, for me, it's unfortunate the way things worked out, and when we talk about the great Al Davis and what Mark Davis is trying to create right now, it just doesn't match, especially with how they handled Derek Carr and that whole situation. Because, in my opinion, Derek Carr deserved better. I think that he had deserved at least the respect, play out the few games. If we're not going to bring him back, at least let him say his goodbyes to the fans. Because at that point, I mean, he did give it all.
And the thing is, if people to forget what kind of mess it was last year with
Yeah,
Gruden and all this stuff,
right.
and he carried the team
Exactly right.
to a wild card game. You know what I mean? And to a wild card appearance. Excuse me. Really on himself. Carry the team on his back, and that's a thanks he get. I thought that was very to me classless too, because he's been the
Agreed.
face of the franchise. For so long, he definitely deserved a season of getting the farewells in front of the crowd and getting that thank you for all the work he's put in.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
and
so you're originally from New York out there, right?
yeah, I'm from New Jersey. Yep.
Oh, New Jersey,
Yeah,
New
from New
Jersey.
Jersey.
Sorry
Yep.
about that. So
Jersey. No, it's
you
all
were
good.
you were New Jersey Nets before, or were
Yeah,
you
we were
always
the New
Knicks?
Jersey Nets.
New
And,
Jersey
and the
Nets.
crazy thing is, those were some of the best times because they used to play East Rutherford when they went to the finals with J. Kidd, K. Martin, and all those
Man.
Richard Jefferson. There was at East Rutherford. East Rutherford was about 40 minutes, 30 minutes from where I grew up at. But then when they went to Prudential Center, that was like 10 minutes away.
Okay.
That's with Dan Williams, those guys. It wasn't
Yep.
really a good team, but it did a lot for the city because the city I'm from Irvington, which is right by Newark, New Jersey,
Okay.
which is one of the
Hmm.
main cities in New Jersey, which mostly everybody, a lot of people ever heard of Newark, but they play there, and there's so many ballers that come from New Jersey, that come from the Newark area, and having a pro team here for a long time. I mean, for a couple of years, did wonders. I know Shaq has been trying to work on potentially getting the team out here. Now they're out in
Right.
Brooklyn, so we knew it was just a temporary stop, but it still was a great feeling for a couple of years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Man, you mentioned Jason Kidd, man. That's so everybody that knows me, Kobe's my all-time favorite
Mm-hmm.
by far. Michael Jordan always when I was younger because of the things that, Michael Jordan represented as a kid growing up in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. But Jason Kidd for me was the definition of California basketball, University Berkeley, and honestly one of the best high school players I ever saw. St. Joseph's in Alameda. And I mean, I just every single time that I ever, somebody ever asked me, it's always, well, who's the best point guard? And I'm like, well, we obviously know that Curry's always going to be mentioned, Magic's going to be mentioned. For me, the ultimate point guard was Jay Kidd because of the way that he ran the point, the way he was a leader. I mean, his passing skills were unbelievable, and he had that dog in him. He had that dog in him,
Yeah,
So
and the crazy thing is, Jason Kidd was New Jersey for so long. When he came over here
yeah.
from the Suns, he did wonders. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever heard the Jason Kidd story. Everybody wants to know why he became such a great passer. But when he's growing up in California,
Mm-hmm.
and he was playing pickup games, they never let him shoot. They said the only way you're going to play is if you continue to pass the ball, keep getting
Oh
play
yeah.
out here. That's where he learned how to be such a great assist man.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that was the number one thing that Dallas Mavericks were looking at because when he came out of California, it was where he was like, well, they envisioned it right away. They said, okay, we got Mashburn, the Jamal Mashburn, and they had a few scores. They're like, oh, he's going to average 10, 11 assists a game, and it just got to the point where he's like, all right, I'm gonna take over. So I wish him the best. I live in Dallas now, so I see him as a head coach every single day, and I'm hoping he has
I was
a
just
lot
in
more
Dallas
success than
too.
he did. Yeah.
I was just in Dallas like 2 times this year. I went to the
Okay.
Big 12 championship game. I was
Yeah.
out there for that, and then I went to Dallas for AU tournament. Um, Caleb Foster, who's going to Duke, played in
Mm-hmm.
AU tournament in Dallas. Went out there. Went to a Mavs game. I went to. I was at game. What game was that? Game 3 of the Mavericks. Played the Warriors, the West Conference
The
Finals.
Warriors. Oh yeah,
The
the
Warriors.
Western
Yeah,
Conference
I went to
Finals.
that game. Yep.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember the days where high school transition into college. We had recently for those that are listening, you remember Jerry Dupree, aka the Assassin, played a lot of street ball, played in the NBA. This is his line, book clothing. So I know we talked a little bit about how the And One mixtape really helped him and just kind of got him to new places in the world that he would have never dreamed where hoops would have taken him, right? So a lot of his story was, basically introducing himself to fans that they already knew who he was, with especially with what And One mixtape introduced. So I know for my background, a lot of people, especially California, we know all about Rucker Park, right? But we don't really know all about Rucker Park. We just know through the movies, through the hip hop. I mean, Nas, Jada, I mean, name it. Jay Z, Notorious B.I.G., Diddy, everybody. So I want give me a little bit about the lessons of the histories, and then also I know you're heavily involved. So what do you envision? Because I know we kind of teased a little bit of people, but I definitely am gonna tap into some events coming up here because like I said, I definitely want to take this international and really get out there and help the community as much as I can as well too.
Yeah. So those are great points. Yeah. So Rucker Park, when I start, Rucker Park is like basketball. I would say one of the eighth wonders of the world. Just not in
Mm-hmm.
basketball, just in sports as a
Oh, well
spectacle.
put. I like that.
Going all the
Yep.
way back from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dr. J, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, Bean. KD, AI, Stephon Marbury. List goes on and on. Above the rim, we did the reenactment of that this year for
Mm-hmm.
the Knicks season launch when Shep came from
Yep.
Above the Rim, the movie. It's just a place where obviously it's street ball, but it's culture, it's community, it's family, and it's basketball like you've never seen it at its core form. And I also think places like shout out to out there in Cali, where you're from, but the Drew League, you got them, you
Yeah.
got Galto, you got Dykeman, you got a lot of places where it's another
Absolutely.
brand of basketball, but it's
Right.
sometimes it's the most important brand. Because a
Yeah.
lot of times when you think of staples like Rutgers, I said the Dykemans, the Drew Leagues, people think of them before they think of sometimes the NBA or regular basketball because
Big time.
to really be stamped as a baller, you had to go through these places and still do. You
Mm-hmm.
still have to go through these places, and play hard and give your all. Like Will Barton played with us this year.
Yep.
Rucker, Donovan Mitchell was at a lot of our games. Quentin Grimes that played for the Knicks was at a lot of our events
Yep.
and activations. So
Absolutely.
it's I would say it's a place. It's basketball, one of basketball holy grounds. Like I said, I always consider it one. This a sports spectacle, like the eighth wonder of the world. And now fast forward and now to 2023, we're just trying to continue to make it look like what society looks like now. We had
Right.
our Bitcoin Classic last year. We had our Rucker Park All Star Game. We had our Tracy Morgan All Star event. We had a championship game which Team Sean Bell won. If people remember, Sean Bell was a victim, was killed by police officers
Right.
coming back from his bachelor party.
That's
So we had
exactly
a
right.
team in honor of them this year that won it all, and Will Barton played for that team that plays for the Washington Wizards. So I think Fat Joe came out this year. We had so many people, and then on top of that, we had a lot of business activations from Lids, Adidas being there, that
Mm-hmm.
Sling there. We had the we had the tournament, ESPN tournament, TBT tournament was there. So
Yep.
we basically created this bubble and this basically this hub where businesses can come, where community could come, but where also street ball is seen as in a different light. And I think,
Sure.
but what we also do too, I gotta always mention that we maintain the integrity of the park, and that's what
Yes.
Dr. J created, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That
That's right.
core street ball integrity mixed with everything else that we try to do as a family at Rucker Park Street Ball.
Right. Absolutely. It's funny that you say that because I've gone on several times when I used to live in Los Angeles to the Venice Beach runs. That court that they got right there, and it's a different vibe. I mean, you got some street ballers that you're like, okay, I can see you playing. A lot of them ex college players. A lot of them top high school players, and just some of them play overseas professionally. It's just it's a different location because people are walking back and forth on that path, and they might stop for a little bit, check it out, and then just keep moving. What I envision most of the time when I say Rucker Park is the whole neighborhood, the whole community might shut down when they got that event going. So that's definitely something that I always look
And
into, and I always say, business wise, that's something that, when you invest in people, when you invest in communities, that's where, like you said, integrity driven, and you're building a legacy, because that's really what it is. It's the
Yeah.
past and then the future.
And also, you got to shout out the National Basketball Players Association. They
Yeah,
renovated the
absolutely.
entire park. This last
Hmm.
year, ASAP Ferg did the entire a logo. He did the entire design. So, like I said, it's always based in community. ASAP Ferg is from Harlem. His father did the Diplomats logo.
That's
So,
right.
yeah. So a lot of things are always built in community. That's kind of what we steadfast on, and that's what we do with even like a lot of our corporate brands and stuff. We always make sure that the mission statement is community. Mission
Right.
statement is Harlem. Mission statement is New York. Is the community, is street ball, and keeping that essence, but just making it look like something in 2023. That's why we did the Bitcoin Classic.
Hmm.
We all trying to incorporate tech. We all try to incorporate like we did 2 weeks ago. We went me and the COO. We went down to Georgia and we honored a lot of the HBCU greats. Out in Georgia, came out there, letting people know the points of HBCUs and what they
That's
mean
right.
to the culture and the community. So that's something that we really big on, and that's something that we stay on it. And so that's why I think we've always been able to excel on a corporate standpoint with our sponsors and our partners because that's something that we always stay on. Part of it is the community and building it up from a street ball perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed 100%. So now, for instance, this coming summer, what events you guys have planned out there? Because I know we were talking about it. It's not just basketball. It has a lot more to do with not only business endeavors but also the community as well.
Yeah, we got some big things that we're gonna be announcing soon. Coming up, we're
Hmm.
gonna have a 6 city tour that we're doing heading into the city. Excuse me, into the season. So we're gonna be hitting up 6 cities. We're gonna make a big announcement that coming soon, right before
Nice.
our season. We're also gonna do. We want to do a little bit more financial literacy at the park. Try to do a financial literacy day. Obviously, still be with our partners Adidas, Lids, doing activation
Hmm.
with those guys. We're looking to also, like I said, also have some surprising NBA guys come again, college guys play. We also going to be doing a lot of community awareness events with health, mental health, fitness, all those things like that. We're going to be doing that, but we also want to create now this 365 Sickler a business model. So that's why we're doing a tour as well. Because when I kind of came on Rucker, it's a summertime thing. They
Sure.
kind of brought me on to kind of extend that and create a 365 business model. So that's what I've been kind of slowly but surely been able to incorporate. And we see that now. We're kind of active all year round. When we used to be kind of a 12-week program in the summertime, now it's all
Hmm.
year round. We're kind of doing activations, or we're connecting with people, or we're collabing, or we're doing different activations. So we want to make sure that we're steady in the community and steady in people's face and their ears, and on social and the 365-day rotation.
Oh, that's well said. I had a question because I know here in Texas, it's heavily recruited every single university, every single high school, not only for football, for basketball. I mean, there's some ballers out here in DFW, especially with
I
what's
think the area
happening
Fox
here.
is from Dallas, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yep, exactly. So I had a question. I know we were talking about community. How has the recruitment of a lot of not just the local universities there? I know Seton Hall's around there, right? Seton Hall, a
Yep.
few of the other major universities around there.
Rutgers.
How has incorporation of just the growth of Rucker Park, not just the basketball, but the incorporation? How has it helped not just from the local, but also the recruiting all over the country?
I think it helped all over the country because it's given a lot of schools, a lot of people a voice,
Hmm.
and that's one thing that is very important because when people align themselves with Rucker, obviously their voice, their brand, whatever they're doing gets amplified through the partnership and dealing with us, obviously because we've been around for so long, the brand. So I think that's very
Right.
important too, and that's why we said we wanted to do the tour. We wanted to continue to infiltrate other markets because obviously,
Hmm.
Rucker and Harlem, that's home, but also there's so many people that love and adopt and love the Rucker Park culture in the Rucker Park community, street ball, but might live out, like you said, in Dallas where you're at, Eric, or might live in
Right.
California, might live in
Mm-hmm.
Detroit or whatever, Indianapolis. So we want to be able to tap into all those different markets as well. So that's something that we've been strategically planning to logistically, how to tap in all these different markets and be able to touch so many people that are fans of Rucker Park, but unfortunately may have never been to the park, or unfortunately may never even been, to Harlem or where we're at. So we want to be able to touch them as well.
Yeah, yeah. I know you got a lot of endeavors, man. I saw, you're getting in commercial real estate, commercial
Oh
properties,
yeah,
real estate
yeah.
game. I think that's a major important thing, man. I think that's something that I have a lot of listeners that are younger, fresh out of high school or early college. I think some of the advice and every time that I always say when I get some people on my show, it's not just having fun, entertainment, but I want to give information. So, what advice would you give, somebody that's even in high school just trying to figure out not just a career path, but we talk about society and where we are. We talk about multiple streams of income. You know what I mean? If you could just tap in, just
Yeah.
give them a little piece of that financial literacy that I know that you're
Mhm.
working on every single day.
The biggest thing is no matter what your tax bracket is or how much money you make, always save. Save your
Hmm.
money for a rainy day. Start early. Like when I was young, I was in high school. I had a job at McDonald's. I used to save like 60% of my check.
Hmm.
All the time. Save your money because then it becomes a habit. It's normal. You know what I mean? It's not something that you have to get used to. And so many people, even our ages, they don't know the art of saving. So I would say
Right.
that's the biggest thing is to save. Also that, but also too, the biggest thing too is always tap. Even if you know what you want to do, always tap into other stuff. So like, say if you know you want to work in sports, oh, volunteer at a hospital, or volunteer,
Hmm.
at real estate office, or volunteer do something else because you just never know because they're always entwined. And I can tell you that, like working in real estate, doing real estate, and working in sports, they're entwined because you may know somebody from here that need this, and somebody else from here need this, and you can always connect the dots. So never
That's right.
just box yourself in. Even if you know, like, okay, this is what I want to do in my life, always have an open mind, especially the way society and technology is changing, and you have all these different emerging like AIs come in, all these different Web3. So you always just want to keep an open mind what you want to do. But the biggest thing is save, and also the
Hmm.
biggest thing too is the biggest thing you have is your listening ability to listen and always listen to people that are older than you, and don't always put a I think the problem with a lot of young kids is they only listen if they see someone that has money or is successful. A lot of
Right.
times, the biggest gem you ever get could be somebody that may not be successful, but they're still wise or they still or give you advice. So always listen to everybody. Don't mean that you always have to take what they're saying as a grain of thought, but just listen because you never know what nuggets and gems you can get. And never put don't never put your listening ears next to someone's status. Don't never say, okay, I'm only gonna listen to somebody if they're this, or I'm gonna listen to this because there's a lot of information from a lot of people out there, and it's very important to listen.
Man, I'm telling you, say that again. I always say, listen to comprehend, don't listen to respond. Just let it absorb. And you have the ability to, basically organize the thoughts in your head. But as long as you listen and you comprehend what the person's saying, that's the most important thing. And that's where sometimes, when I hear, I have nephews that are a little bit younger that when they go to high school, they're just like, man, this, my teacher's this, my teacher's that. I'm just like, well, there's a connection there. You just got to find it. And it's got to be on both ends. I'm not just saying you and I'm not just saying your teacher, but, at the end of the day, that's where I think that advice that you just gave, man, it would really help out so many situations. Because sometimes that's exactly it. Just listen. You know,
Yeah, just
uh,
listen. And
exactly.
one thing I would say to Eric too is also too as you get older and you start to learn too is it's good to be passionate, but don't be too emotional because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times when you're in business and whether it is in life, if you're too emotional, it kind of clouds your judgment because all your emotions are involved. Sometimes before you're making a decision, we all know Eric, people that we know that have made life changing decisions for the good or life changing decisions for the bad off emotions. So you never
Mm-hmm.
want to just be emotion driven. You always want to use your head, think smart, think clearly before you make decisions, before you respond, because you just never know. who they may be. And like I said, it all goes back to that you just never know who someone is. Treat everyone with respect. I tell
Right.
kids that's so much important because that's
Absolutely.
how I've kind of gotten opportunities I have gotten because I've always hello, thank you, open up doors, treat a person, you treat the janitor like you treat the CEO. And that's one of
That's
the biggest skills I
hello.
see in life
100%.
is you
Exactly.
treat everyone with respect. You just never know who someone is.
That's perfect, man. Before we go, got a few questions just off the top of
Sure.
my head. I know for me, there's a bunch of current active NBA guys, and I can go down the
Mhm.
list. But I just want to know one player that you'll spend your hard-earned money to go and watch right now, active in the NBA. Who's that player?
Active right now. So I would say probably Jason Tatum.
Ooh, man. I love the curveball, man, because I ask that a lot and I get the Currys, I get the LeBrons, I get the Ja Morants. And I ain't no disrespect because that's usually where I go. But Tatum, man, that guy,
You
I
want me to tell
swear,
you
like,
why?
yeah, tell me why. I was gonna wait for that.
Because he actually plays. He don't take days off. I respect that because one thing I think is wrong with the NBA is all this load management and guys taking the days off. Because
Yeah.
the problem is that, and I remember when I was a kid, and I remember I was my dad, and mom didn't make a lot of money. I just go to one game a year. I would see either like Jason Kidd because I'm from New Jersey. I remember one
Mm-hmm.
day AI was playing, and this is why I love AI. I know he was hurt, and I remember I was going to see him that night, and they was like, man, AI was banged up. I'm like, man, I'm never going to see AI. I was so distraught. And
Mm-hmm.
my dad was like, he may play, he may play. We went to the game, and nobody thought he played. He played like 35 minutes on there. So that's what I come from. The
Yeah.
KGs, the Hart, the Dirks,
Yes, sir.
those guys. So
Absolutely.
this new generation, the low management is sitting out and stuff. I get it. I get it sometimes, but that's just one thing I like about Tatum. I remember Reggie Miller was saying
Right.
that last night on the Knicks game. It was like he was like Tatum, man. He always, and that's one thing I always admire about him. He always plays, and that's why if you
That's
look at
right.
the finals last year, he was so exhausted because he played so much.
He
He
played,
didn't
yeah,
have,
the whole time.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
gassed.
Yeah, they say he attacks the workouts after a game as hard as he played that game that same night. Like he said, and again, for me, and I'm not trying to compare anybody
Mhm.
to each other, but I think in terms of the work ethic that I have seen from young players right now in the league, he reminds me of the engine that Kobe has. And I'm
And
only
that's
saying
suspension.
about work ethic because one thing is about durability. The same quote that we hear, R.I.P. Bean. He says, "Well, what about that person that paid that money? I'm not gonna, and I'm not gonna play." He feels it inside, and that's kind of where Tatum is. He's at that point where it's kind of like, if I can't give it all to my team,
Mhm.
how am I gonna sit here and just sit back and say, "Oh, well, we lost. Well, what happened? What did you do for it?"
If you look at it, the biggest dogs in the NBA, I would say Tatum and Greek Freak. There are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
dogs, but those two you could say primary big ones. Their mentors are Kobe, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and they adopt that Mamba mentality. You look at
Right.
Greek Freak, you look at Jason Tatum. Even though for like Greek Freaks, his limitations, it's all heart. You know what I mean? Those,
Mm-hmm.
every game he's playing hard, he's giving his all. And he
That's
got
right.
that from Kobe. So
Right. And that in the beginning of his career, it was mostly athletic ability, God
yeah.
given talent as far as the reach, the stretch, the bounce, and just that whole the heart. And now that the skill set's coming out and he's starting to improve a lot of areas, he still drives hard. He still plays hard. So that's what's
And that's
up.
one
So
and that's one
yeah.
thing too, and I even hold you up. I always feel about Greek Freak that I respect that even if he retired tomorrow, he really earned that ring he got. He really
Mm-hmm.
earned it. And I love like KD, I love everybody like that, but those guys I just feel haven't earned it. You know what I mean? One where you like the guy. One where it's like
Mm-hmm.
there's no question who's the guy is. And I think to be immortal and get to that level, you have to have one where you're like, there's no question you were the guy.
Okay. Okay. I respect that. Real quick before we go, who's your favorite street baller of all time?
Street ball of all time, I would say probably. Ooh, that's rough. Probably skip to my Lou.
Oh, Ray for Alston. I was waiting for it, man. I thought that's funny, man, because I thought you were gonna ask me. That's my guy too, man.
Yeah, Skip to my Lou.
Skip
And
to my
he had
Lou.
a good run at the pros. He was the point guard
Yeah,
for that Magic team that went to the finals.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. He was good. And there's a guy that I say a guy everybody knows, Eddie House, when he played with Miami Heat. Well, he's from Hayward, California, and a few times he would
Yeah,
just
he
be
used to jack
balling
it up.
out.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah,
He
and
played
I mean,
Celtics
and,
too.
and he and I was at the game, Arizona State versus Cal college game, and I was there, and I mean, he went for like 60 something, and I'm talking about we always see that meme right now with Kyle Korver, that heat check with the Hawks. I'm saying somebody got to make that meme go viral, because Eddie House in playing for Arizona State went viral, and I'm saying it was not just the 3-point range; it was that street ball mentality on the court. I was like, hey, somebody somebody got to get this guy to one of those parks, because he can light it up. So that's probably one of my best performances that I ever saw live, when I was sitting there watching just the ability of, in a college game where you know how it is. They play hard, they play aggressive, they play for the front of the jersey instead of the back, and this guy was just natural, just dropping from range.
Stuff, man.
So
That's classic. I remember.
skip to my Lou.
I
That's what's
forgot
up.
Eddie House. I remember in NBA. I never remember what college we went to. Only person ASU I remember is James Harden. He went to
Yeah,
ASU.
yeah,
I remember that.
yeah. James Harden is the one that really transformed it. Back then, it was really Pac 10, Pac 12 till they eventually changed it. It was one of those always tried, but at that time, it was Arizona. Arizona at that time, all the time. They had all of those players coming in and out. I mean, they've once they won the national championship in what was that, 95, 96. Things
97 with
Yeah,
Jason Terry
97,
and Mike
97.
Bibby and them.
Yeah,
Yep.
Jason Terry, Mike Bibby, Miles Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they changed it up. But well, we got football season right now, and I know by the
Yep.
time we drop this, we might already have the Super Bowl set. But of the 4 teams that you see right now, who's that team that you just say, I mean, they're not losing?
My head says the Eagles, but my heart said the Bengals because my college football team is LSU, and I
Okay.
saw Joe Burrow. We
Oh
had
yeah.
Jamar Chase. We had so much.
Mm-hmm.
We had Justin Jefferson. That was all on one team. You know what
That's
I
all on one
mean?
team. Yeah.
So many dogs that we had in one national championship. So I'm a Dolphins fan till I die. I love the Dolphins, but I'm biased with the Bengals because Burrow and those guys. So I would say that my heart says Bengals, but my head says Eagles because Eagles just have every position. They have an animal. You know what I mean, and they keep getting better.
Well, you're hearing it here. Breaking news right now. My picks for the Super Bowl this weekend are Eagles over the Niners, Bengals over the Chiefs right now. So I'm telling you right now, I would love to see that, because as soon as the Bengals put that destruction on the Buffalo Bills, the number one thing I said is I want to see Joe Burrow lift up that trophy. Because, I mean, not just him, Joe Mixon. Shout out Joe Mixon, Freedom High School, Oakley, California, in the Bay Area. So definitely want him to do his thing. And then I definitely think that the Niners have everything in their power. The only thing that I have right now is hesitation is when that Lincoln Financial is rocking, and the noise is going back and forth, and if the running game's not working, and they got to win with Brock Purdy, can he do it? He's got the ability from what I see. I just haven't seen it. And
He's gonna
one
have to
thing that
beat them,
I keep on saying is they've only played 2 road games with him. 2 road games.
and he's gonna have to make a play that he's gonna have to beat them. He's gonna have to make a play like
Exactly.
if you look at the Seahawks game and you look at the Cowboys game, they kind of protected him. Defense did what they
Right.
do, but he's gonna have to go on the road in a hostile environment, which is crazy. Eagles fans are Lincoln field is crazy and make plays,
Right.
and that's he going and that's just it's gonna be rough. I don't. I mean, I'm not. It could happen, but it's just hard to put that on a rookie. He was the last pick in the draft. To
Yeah.
put that on a rookie in that kind of environment with the stakes so high, I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be rough. But just on the other side, if Burrow beats Mahomes, he'll be 4-0 against him.
Oh
So
yeah.
he
Oh
literally
yeah.
would be his kryptonite. You know what I mean? Because Mahomes
That's
just
exactly
running
right.
through everybody but him.
I'm just saying. Right, what I've seen from them, what I saw in the eyes from the whole sideline, including head coach Zach Taylor, which he needs a lot more. I think a lot more of these ESPNs and NFL networks need to give him more kudos, because I think that more of conversation of not just the trophies of the NFL award, coach of the year and things like that, but really seeing what he's done in a span of 2 years.
And
It's unbelievable.
and the thing is, what I don't understand is a lot of people, and I remember they be like, they was knocking Zach Taylor, saying that, well, he got this far because he had good players, but that's part of everything. Who's
Sure.
gonna win with bad players? You need good players,
Absolutely.
you know. So it's
That's right.
argued that Belichick wouldn't have a ring if he didn't have Brady. He wouldn't have one ring. So
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
you know that's kind of hard to say. It's just like when people in San Antonio, I remember somebody told me, they were like, well, Pop has range because he had Duncan, Spur, or Parker, and Mano. I'm like, yeah, he had good players, like
Hmm.
it's
Exactly.
hard.
It's funny you say that, because I was listening today and somebody said, well, they've only won the 3 games with a combined points of 9 points. And I said, here's the thing. It could be a combined 9 points, but the point is they've won the 3 games. They haven't lost. Because if we're going to sit here and be like, well, we're going to compare apples to oranges, what if they were 0-3 and a combined of 9 points? You would say the same thing for the Chiefs. Oh, well, the Chiefs are 3-0 against you guys in close games. Okay, so at the end of the day, give the man his flowers as much as you can right now, because of the fact that he is undefeated against you, and right now he has that team as the red hot team. So
And
besides what you see about the Niners record right now so far.
and just one more thing about Joe Burrow. I remember because I've been an LSU fan since I was born. They was playing
Hmm.
Alabama, and his poise
Oh yeah.
was just crazy. Like in the hostile environment, Alabama was just, in them. Obviously, they still Alabama, but they were kings back then, and
Hmm.
nobody thought we was gonna win that game on the road. And he was just so poised. And you see that now. He's never wavering. That's why I think he gets a lot of comparisons to Tom Brady just because of the demeanor. The moment is never too big for them. They stay level headed and are always cool, calm, and collective under any type of pressure.
I agree. 100%, man. Appreciate the football talk. So before we go, uh, our listeners, if they want to reach out to you, check out your endeavors, what you got going on this year, what you got going on towards the end of 2023. I know you got some major things going on. How can they follow you, contact you, all your social media plugs?
Yeah, so on my Twitter, my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram, my TikTok is all the same. It's Mr. Urban Sports and Entertainment. You can follow me over there for our content, all the different business endeavors we're doing. You can see what we got going on with Eric as well. Because I think this platform is really dope. It can go a lot of places. So you just follow me. Any questions and inquiries, I'm always checking my DMs, checking my comments, things like that. If you're free this summer, everybody come out to the park, Rucker Park.
Yes, sir.
155 in Harlem. Definitely would love to have you guys, and we look forward to continuing, to run this marathon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate your time, Nate, man. Seriously. And for all the listeners out there, we're going to have links. We're going to have videos all tapped in. We're going to have a whole link and information right there, not just the Rucker Park, but a lot of what's happening with Nate and the whole Mr. Urban Sports and Entertainment. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care, man. We'll talk to you soon. And summertime, if you see me at the Rucker Park doing a little thizzle dance, mind your business.
All right. Thanks, E.
I appreciate it, man. Take care. We'll be right
Yeah.
back. Well, this concludes another episode number 5 of the Sporting Crashers podcast. Thank you to Nate Cooke, aka Mr. Urban Sports and Entertainment, for being on the show. Hey, look out for us in the summertime. Catch me at New York, New Jersey, doing my thing, representing Sporting Crashers podcast. You already know what it is. Also, thank you, Deb Whitcas. I know you had a great time, not only covering your events and sports, but also if you're out there watching that Super Bowl Sunday, catch her at those events. Follow her on her Instagram and Facebook. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Very knowledgeable. And also, Philadelphia Phillies season is coming up, so we definitely will be keeping up with her. Thank you, everybody. Looking forward to producing the next episode 6, Sporting Crashers Podcast. We're out.